Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipalities of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 12th, 2017, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Arsenko?
Here.
Mrs. Gatos?
Here.
Dr. Grieslock?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Johns?
Here.
Mr. Caleri?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Ratcher?
Here.
Ms. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you see on our agenda, I do have a proclamation for our Gateway Gators, but before I read that into the record, I know some of the council members, hopefully all of them have a few words, and Linda, we'll start it off with you.
I just want to tell you guys how proud we all are of you, your accomplishments. We want to thank not only yourselves, but your coaches, the school, your parents, the staff. You know, there's so much that goes into you guys getting to where you got to, and we are very proud of you. As I told some of you before, I had a son that played on the team, and, you know, I was one of the mothers back there serving the meals and stuff, so there's a lot of people that go into get you guys where you went, but your talent did a lot for you and says a lot for you, and I wish you guys all the best. Thank you.
Nick.
I'm going to echo a lot of those same comments. You guys have a lot to be proud of. It was a great season. It's a tremendous achievement, you know, and we look forward to seeing you back up here this year, same time next year. So great job.
Ron.
Gateway's my alma mater. I graduated from there, and I was very proud of you. I wish we could pull a community together like you guys can, because you did a fantastic job at that. You did a fantastic job during the season, and I was very proud of the way you displayed yourself, the coaches, yourselves, and everybody involved. It was a very, very, very proud moment, and I can't say enough about you. Thank you.
Jim.
Congratulations to everybody involved on the team, coaches, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you.
I echo everybody's sentiments. Keep up the good work, guys. You made us all proud.
And Steve.
Right here, it was amazing. My colleague said it all. Good luck.
And Tom.
I hope you realize you made history. 58 years of Gateway, and you were the first team to ever make it to the States. Congratulations. We're very proud of you. I, too, am going to also have a Gateway graduate.
Me too.
But I'm probably older than most of your parents right now. I graduated in 1960, and that was 57 years ago. So congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Okay, Dr. Short, if you'll come on up with Val Warning, one of our school directors.
You're going to go out there, right?
No, I'm going to read it here, then I'll go on. This is a proclamation from myself as the mayor of the Municipality of Monroeville, recognizing the Gateway High School coaches and football team on their successful season as the 5A WPIAL champions and the PIAA runner-up state champions. Whereas the coaches and players conducted themselves in a professional manner all season, and whereas the Gateway football team's regular season record was 14 wins with only 2 losses, and whereas on November 18th, 2017, the Gateway football team won the WPIAL 5A title against Penn Trafford with a score of 21-16, and also becoming the runner-up of the PIA state champion on December 8th, 2017. Therefore, I, Gregory H. Arsenko, Mayor of the Municipality of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, recognize the dedication and perseverance of the Gateway football team, coaches, and do declare this month of December 2017 as Gateway Football Month throughout the municipality of Monroeville, and wish all the players, coaches, and students much success in the future. Let's give the kids a nice round of applause. Dr. Short and Val Warning, on behalf of myself and all of council, we'd like to present this proclamation to you. And just to echo with our colleagues set up here, what a wonderful season. You guys really did pull the whole community together. Congratulations, and we hope to see you here again, as Nick said, next year. Congrats. One more time, guys.
First off, thank you, Mayor Arasenko, Monroeville Council. On behalf of the Gateway School District, our school board, and especially our team, students, and staff, thank you for this proclamation. Before we adjourn, I'd like to bring up Coach Hall, the architect of this team. It's important that we recognize all the hard work, dedication that this man has put into this program over the last 2 years. I can assure you that this individual has been welcomed into our community of Gateway, Monroeville, and Pickering, and we look forward to being back here for the next 5 years. Right here. After the state final for the next 5 years.
Coach, you want to say a few words to the kids? You certainly can, and to the municipality.
Just wanted to, you know, I've said it to these guys many times in private quarters and here in public. First, I'd like to thank this group for such a wonderful gesture to all of us. These guys go to work every day for a lot of reasons. Some of them, a lot of invisible preparation to get to the visible results we have on Friday nights. I know we're all proud of the G on our uniform and the Gateway on our uniform. We talk about repping it, repping the G when we take the field. Nothing prouder than being from Gateway and the tradition that we have here. And I know that these guys are excited they were able to add to the great history of Gateway football this season. It was such a memorable run. You mentioned how the team pulled the community together, but I can't help but thank the community for being so much behind us. Every time we turned around, we were being well taken care of and supported by so many different people in the community. And it's one of those things where I felt, and I said it at the banquet, I felt like I was welcomed into a family. And we're all blessed to be part of it. And again, congratulations to you guys for doing all the great things you did. And thanks for taking me along for the ride, and I appreciate our school district for having me as their football coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We know what we're doing right.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
If you guys would like to stay, you certainly can. If you need to leave, we'll give you some time to exit the building. That is certainly your choice.
We have homework.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard the boss.
I need also add 33 of these members were on the honor roll this year.
Oh, yay! That's even better. Way to go, guys.
Brady. How you doing? Great to see you. Good to see you.
Have a good one, Brady. Come on, Brady. My shoulders up.
Brady, I've been friends of both sides of your family forever. Yeah, very nice to meet you. Your mother's
Hey,
family
morning.
and my parents.
Where you going?
We've been friends forever and a day. So,
Congratulations. Good
oh,
job.
you guys are so welcome. Yeah, it was really wonderful to watch. So, I was so happy. I knew you had a smile from here to there. I'm surprised you haven't broke your teeth. You take care, honey.
Okay, right now, if Ernie Grover, the Monroeville Foundation president, and Canoe, I hope I'm saying it right, Sonny, Director of the Community Affairs of Allegheny Health Network. They want to talk a little bit about their first annual Monroeville Foundation Community Day. So gentlemen, if you haven't signed in, please do, and then you certainly have the floor.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
We're ready.
Okay, if any of you don't know me, my name is Ernie Gruber. I am the president of the Monroeville Foundation. And as you may be aware, the Monroeville Foundation is chartered to assist the municipality in things that it can't do for itself. You may not be aware that we support the animal shelter. We donate money to the food shelters and a lot of projects here in the municipality. We've been planning for some time now the first annual Monroeville Community Day. Here with me today is Kanu Sani. He is a representative from Forbes Hospital and Highmark. They are also celebrating in 2018 their 40th anniversary.
We know, that's wonderful.
So they have joined with us, or partnered with us, to develop this first annual Monroeville Community Day. And I heard talking earlier about bringing the community together. That happens to be our theme, bringing the community together. This will be a family-friendly event. We want to host it at the Community Park West on Saturday, July 28th. A lot of different activities, family-friendly, health-related activities. And we are soliciting support of the municipality and the residents of Monroeville because we're looking for everyone to come out and participate.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Pleasure to be here, and long-time Monroeville resident, so I'm actually very proud to serve in various capacities here. Highmark Health, Allegheny Health Network, Forbes Hospital, really excited about the 40 years in this community, and we want to be the premier sponsor for the first event. We hope this is the start of an annual tradition. And there's going to be a lot of very fun activities, family-friendly, as Ernie just mentioned. We'll engage with first responders, we'll engage with health-related activities. So we think the community is really going to get a very special event. And we are happy to be proud, to be a partner in that process.
Oh, I'm sure I can speak for council. That's a great idea, and we're certainly behind your endeavor, that's for sure.
Okay, and we will keep you updated on the things as we...
Yeah, if you can maybe come in every once in a while,
Sure.
maybe every other month or so, to give us an update.
Absolutely.
And certainly, you can let Tim know anything that we need to do as a council to support your endeavor or any of our services that we have here.
Okay, thank you.
And
Fair
this
enough,
is-
council?
Well, yeah, and
Fair enough.
as things develop, then we can even have it put onto our municipal website
Yes.
for the community to be able to see, but the more input we get from you, the more we can give out to the rest of the community as well.
Absolutely.
So, but we thank you for this.
And this is intended to be a fundraiser for the foundation to give it greater ability to do good in the community.
Great.
So we're very excited about this.
So are we. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Mayor. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you,
Grissom.
gentlemen.
Good job, guys.
Okay, as you see, I have some farewell comments. As you all know, I'm term limited out as of December 31st, and Nick will be taking over in January. So I just wanted to say a few words. And first off, I need to thank my wife and family for all their support. For those of you who know my wife, she is about as apolitical as you can get. But I got to give her credit. She stood with me, and my kids did as well. And thank you to all of them. And to Holly, just thank you for what you did. To my colleagues up here, wow, it's hard to believe that I'm only a couple months shy of 10 years of sitting here in this seat. It's been exciting. It's been trying, I should say. But I can tell you honestly, you have a very good council. Every single one of these people up here worked very hard on your behalf. And I look back, I was thinking about this today. I was going to write this big, elaborate speech, and you all know me, I'd rather just talk from the heart. It's been fun, and I know there's some times that some of my ideas I threw out They certainly supported it. Others, they told me where to go and how to get there. They thought I was off the planet. And I guess that makes it fun up here. But you guys, you're the best. Thank you for everything that you supported me all these years, and that's sincere as I can be. To the administration, Tim, Bob, and I don't want to miss anybody, but to all the administration, it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you. You really are dedicated public servants. We have a wonderful community. We have wonderful services from our police, our fire, public works, whatever you need, our library, our senior center. We really do have it great. Our Parks and Rec, every bit of our services, we all that live here should be very thankful for. If you live in other communities, you're really spoiled here, and I love it, and it's a great opportunity. Thank you all for what you do. Thank you for the support you've given me. Finally, to our residents, you've honored me with 2 terms, full terms, as your mayor. I'm not going to kid you. I'm going to miss it, but I'm also excited for Nick. I know he's going to do a great job for us. My whole goal when I took over almost 10 years ago was to move Monroeville from that time. If you remember in '08, the economy was pretty tough. Things were a little rough up here. My goal was to leave it better. I think we're doing much better today. Our business district is healthy. We have a wonderful healthcare system, both of them. We're very fortunate in Monroeville. And finally, to the residents of the 5th Ward, for those of you, I'm sure you all know, I was given the honor of representing the 5th Ward. Paul, I'm going to miss you up here. I know that you had obligations that you couldn't get out of, and to your credit, you were able to step away, even though I think you certainly deserved another term. But thank you for what you've done for the 4 years that you've done it. And to the residents, once again, in the 5th Ward, I promise you, as hard as I worked as mayor, I will work for you in the 5th Ward. So thank you all. And Nick, congratulations. I'll always be there for you if you need anything. You know, I'll back you up. Not just me, I know all of council will. We're looking forward to you stepping into the seat.
Thank you, Mayor.
All righty, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll open up the public comment on the proposed agenda items only. Proposed agenda, come on up. Did you sign in, sir? Not yet. Not yet. Please sign in and state your name for the record.
My name is David Mintz. And once again, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Senko, for your service, and congratulations on the 10 years almost of being mayor. And to Mr. Cagliari as well, thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Being our new mayor. I came up today just to make a quick comment about you probably know what I'm going to talk about, but
Well, let us guess.
Yeah, let us guess. The idea and the subject of the oil and gas drilling. I attended the Plum Council meeting last night. I'm going to guess that probably most of you are aware of what happened there last night, but maybe not. But I don't know about everybody at home, so I just wanted to make sure this was known to our community. At the Plum Council meeting last night, the council voted, what they did is they created a new zone. I mean, I know we're working on our zoning, so this is really apropos to Monroeville. The council created a new zoning district called rural residential. And they basically last night passed the ordinance, or if I'm using the right terminology, I think it is, an ordinance basically allowing unconventional, modern hydraulic fracking, the whole thing that we've been talking about, not the old style, not just conventional wells, not how some people called fracking from 70 years ago with conventional wells. It's a whole new thing. We all know that. We understand that now. But at the meeting last night, there was a lot of misinformation. The people were getting up and trying to claim that the conventional wells are, they pretty much the same thing, and that they used to frack the conventional wells 70 years ago, but we know how different that is from current fracking. But basically, the council passed this ordinance allowing the modern unconventional drilling in this rural residential, and my understanding is that rural residential zoning district covers about 25% of the land area of Plum. So now 25% of Plum is open to modern unconventional gas drilling. And I can tell you, sitting there, I felt really bad for the people of Plum. Other than the few, I can tell you the way it went was a few people got up and would say things like, well, I own 130 acres in Plum, and don't take away my right to make the money on this. They weren't really, hiding the fact that that's why they were there. They owned a lot of land, and they wanted to make the money from it. And other people would get up and say, well, that's maybe their right to make that money, but what about the right of almost everybody else in Plum who doesn't own large tracts of land in Plum, and what's going to happen to our property values and our air, our water, everything else. So it was, it really seemed for the few to benefit, and almost everybody else who's a resident of Plum is going to suffer. And I felt really bad. I have an aunt who lives in Plum, an aunt and uncle who both live there, and for various reasons you can tell why I felt really bad the way it went for them there. And I just want to really kind of commend our council for being much more proactive. I know we're on top of, we've been doing a lot, as we all know. I think we're much ahead of where they were, obviously, and really with a different point of view I can see from the way things have been voted on at all the meetings I've been coming to here versus the way it was there. They had one councilman who actually proposed an amendment that he had given to the other councilman the month before to try to restrict the fracking to just industrial, as we had passed a motion to do. And last night he brought up the amendment, and he made the motion to have it voted on, and he couldn't even get one person to second it. The mayor there, who's also retiring from mayorship like you are, he said he would have seconded it if he could, but he was not allowed by rules. But nobody else on the council would even second it for a vote. Obviously, they weren't going to vote for it, but I've never seen anything in my experience here like that. I think should have given respect to second it. So my whole point is I'm unfortunately feel bad for Plum. It's our neighbor. It's right next door. We're still going to suffer from the air pollution that they're going to suffer from, because air doesn't stay in one community, obviously. But I'm glad that we're working on it. I commend the work that's going on, and I know that we're attempting to have the new ordinance for our zoning for gas and oil drilling voted on at the January 9th meeting, and hopefully voted on to advertise.
Present it, yes.
To present, and then hopefully January 10th to start advertising it. But I just wanted to let you know, if you didn't know what was going on in Plum right next door, it's in my opinion, pretty awful. But I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Once
Thanks.
again,
Thank you,
ladies and
David.
gentlemen, I'll leave the floor, oh, never mind. Hello, Robert. State your name for the record, sir, please.
Excuse me one moment.
He's eating a peppermint patty.
Mr. Greco just fed it to me before I stepped out. If you would, my name is Robert Serafini. I'm a resident of Monroeville.
Welcome.
Thank you. If you would turn to the second page, I'm here to talk about old business 148 ST. I'm a friend of Mr. Petrakis, who lives right behind this, where they're going to do all the work. Mr. Petrakis is ill, couldn't come to the meeting tonight. He was up at the municipal building today for about 20 minutes, and he spoke to someone who I don't know, but he said he didn't think it resolved any of his questions. I'm going to ask you, since we've had this problem before, that they've come up here and they've postponed it. It's been years since this has been put back on the agenda. I'm asking that we postpone this one more month, and someone go down and talk to Mr. Petrakis, who can't come out of the house too well, but he has a water problem down there. And like I said, I've known Mr. Petrakis for over 40 years. His family all lived in Monroeville. His mom and dad used to live right next door to where he does at the present time. And like I said, Mr. Petrakis has lived in there for over 40 years. So if someone could go down and just check things out for him. Mr. Petrakis is one hell of a nice guy. I've known him, like I said, for over 40 years. And if he feels like there's a problem and he can't come tonight, I'd like to speak on his behalf and ask someone just to go down and check it out before we vote on it to accept this. If you would do that, I'd appreciate
I
it.
think Paul was going to, Paul Whalen?
I'm the one that Mr. Petrakis spoke to today.
Okay.
I spent 15, 20 minutes with him.
That's what he had said.
And at the end of our conversation, he left very satisfied. I answered all of his questions about stormwater and grading and lighting, and he said, "Thank you, I've been very helpful," and we parted, and as far as I was concerned, he was happy.
Okay, Paul, I talked to Mr. Petrakis about 4 o'clock today, and he spoke, like I said, I know he had spoke to you. You gave him some answers, but he's still not happy, and he may have been a gentleman to talk to you and said, okay, but I'd like to have just someone give a little extra care on this, if they would. Just 1 month, I'd appreciate it, someone go down and just be at his house and double check.
Why he's not happy?
I couldn't tell you. When he came in this
His
afternoon,
water damage is in the backyard. He can't cut his grass without having ruts in his backyard. And like I said, he said...
Stormwater.
Does he live on Beatty Road, I assume?
Yeah, right, it's the, he lives at the house right across from the funeral home.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, the backyard, his backyard and that backyard. And like I said, I'm just asking for 1 month's grace. This has been going on for quite a while. And if these gentlemen here would just, I mean, everything's been going good with them and Mr. Petrakis, but I'd like to have this resolved in Mr. Petrakis' so that he's okay with this, okay?
Paul, is there an issue with the stormwater management, the stormwater runoff?
according to Mr. Petrakis, there's an existing problem with an inlet in Beatty Road. That's a county road, that's a county inlet. The Imamia site plan ties into that inlet, but they have stormwater management for their site. They have several large tanks that will collect their proposed stormwater. So I told Mr. Petrakis that this land development may actually help his situation. Currently, the property for the Imamia site is just meadow, grassland, some trees, and it all sheet flows towards Mr. Petrakis' property.
Okay.
After construction, the proposed site is going to be paved with curbs so that stormwater will no longer leave the Imamia property. It will be collected into an underground tank system which will effectively remove about an acre of stormwater that typically would reach Mr. Petrakis' property. So in our point of view, we think it'll help him.
So we can't do anything about the county's issue, but this would fix a part of his problem, and maybe all of it. We won't know until it's completely finished.
Correct. And I explained that to Mr. Petrakis upstairs today.
And Mr. Serafini, they would make sure that the water runoff would certainly not get any worse for Mr. Petrakis. That would be they would make sure. And I'm sure the gentleman standing here would also, would do anything that was needed to make sure that wouldn't be an issue.
I understand all this. This gentleman, they've even sent food over to Mr. Petrakis' house. They've been good people about all this. But like I said, I talked to them the other day when they were going to start this. I asked Paul, Mr. Hugas, if they had spoke to Mr. Petrakis, and they said no. I called him Friday after the meeting. He said he would try and get up here. He got up here today with somebody else's help. He was up here for 15, 20 minutes. He still was not resolved to what he had told him. And
what was his issue?
Yeah, what's he telling you his problem is?
He's telling me it's a water, and like I said, he can't cut his grass. He couldn't do anything of this sort. And like I said, I don't say it's anything wrong, but I'd like just to have someone go down and check at his house to make sure everything is okay and explain it to him personally at his house. I know this is a big thing, but I mean, this has been going on for quite a while here. And like I said, I'd just like to have someone help him out. I mean, if Ed goes down to his house and he tells him the same things and shows him the same thing that Paul just said, I'd be very happy with that, okay? But I would like to have just something done about it.
Well, let me just ask the developer, would you be okay with holding off another month on the approval? If not, it would be up to council, but it was certainly your call. State your name for the record, sir.
My name is Dr. Hashim Raza, and I know Mr. Petrarcas as well, and I meet him every now and then at his house. The problem with the water that is being described here is not a new problem. As a matter of fact, Mr. Petrarcas told me that if you can...
Joe, you want to hit...
if I can orientate, this is the Old Haymaker Road, and this is the boundary line, and this is the house of Mr. Petrarcas. And this area over here is that Parkway building. Mr. Petrarcas, he himself, when he was energetic, he himself built a kind of a, I don't want to say tunnel, but a
trench
to capture the water that comes from this Parkway building. And he told me about this problem, that Dr. Raza, because I mentioned to him, I said, there is a trench over there. Do you know it belongs to us or it belongs to Parkway building? Mr. Petrarcas said, I built that trench myself because the trench is right here. It's still there.
Whose property is that on, sir?
I think it's right on the border, if I'm correct. Our property and Parkway building.
So you might own part of that, you might own that trench?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure, but so I walked to that trench myself. So he said that this water problem is chronic, old, and so I mentioned to him, this is not now, like several months ago. I mentioned, I said, Steve, the way we are planning this and the way municipality wants to do this is exactly to prevent, to correct, and to improve the water going into his property. Because that's why these tanks and all this extensive and expensive system is in place. So I explained it to him, but I don't know in between what happened since I met him. But I think and I believe that the plan that we have in place according to the rules and regulations of the municipality, I think it will help Steve.
Well, you heard our own engineer and staff.
Oh, you feel that way too, also?
Yes, it seems like it'll be.
Let me ask you this, because stranger things have happened. What if his situation got worse and it was determined it was due to the development?
Then the developer would be responsible to fix
Correct.
whatever's wrong. Yeah.
There's actually
I'm not saying that's going to happen.
There's some redundancy here too. Beyond, there's a curb line that collects the water from the parking lot, but between the curb line and the property line, there's also a diversion ditch at the bottom of the slope before Mr. Petrarcas' property to collect that water. So there's actually a dual system here to keep that water off of his property.
In the development?
Yes, on the development side. So I don't deny he collects a lot of water because he's at the bottom of the hill. He gets all the water from the natural grade, where in this case, the water is being diverted into a collection system, into a diversion ditch, and put into a storm sewer.
If I can make a suggestion to council, it sounds like our staff's very satisfied with the whole project. Your call to approve or disapprove, but even if you approve it, would it hurt Paul maybe to run down and, apparently he has health issues, can't get out. Paul, would you mind going down to his house? And
Sure, I could speak with him again.
I would appreciate that
I think
very,
you need
very
a
much.
hands-on on the property with him right there, and then probably it's
Yeah, I think, and that's correct,
all
Jimmy, you're right.
That's really what all I'm asking.
Sir, if this got approved tonight, how long would it be before development would start?
I wish, standing here under oath, I can give you some date, but I can't.
I mean, would it be a month, 2 months, 3 months?
Spring?
I'm thinking spring.
We want to start at least in, February or March, but
I just
there
wanted
are,
to
I'm sure you are aware of what other things needed to be
The reason why I ask this is that it gives us plenty of time to go talk to the gentleman.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
It's not like it's going to happen.
It cannot, with
Ron.
this...
So,
with
Mr.
this,
Serafini, does that suffice?
Yeah, I'm definitely, all I'm asking is to appease my friend. I mean, Like I said,
We get it.
like I said.
Absolutely.
And there's been Monroeville residents for over almost a half a century. I mean, between him and his family and, you know, like I said, his mom and dad, I know his brothers and everything else, they live in Monroeville. So I'm just asking for a little bit of time. 1 month, if you could do that, and Paul go down there and talk to him. That's all I'm asking.
We're good.
Thank you.
Oh, Hughes, how's the 90-day clock?
Oh, we're good.
Good.
But Ron, to answer your question, there's some, even if it gets approved tonight, there's additional steps that they have to go through.
Exactly.
With posting performance bonds, doing developers agreement, getting permits from the state, the county. So there's a lot of legwork here that has to be done. And if you looked outside, I don't think anybody's starting anything soon. So,
So there
there's time.
there still will be a vote tonight, but that will also.
Is there anything
leave
that comes
time.
back to us?
No, sir. It's all done administratively.
And there was mention of a county inlet
Right.
down there. Is that something that we can address with the county in the
Yes,
interim?
and that's why I'm saying they still have to get a permit from Allegheny County because they're tying
That
into
lid even
their
blew off.
system.
Mr. Petrakis said that lid even blew off one time this past year.
Does that need attention of the
It's
county?
something that we'll address
I
at the
can
permit.
I can call it in the morning.
Well,
He's cleaned out or something.
with the time spread that, from possibly tonight till anything ever got started, it sounds like there would be a lot of time for us to go down and talk to him.
I'd appreciate that very much. That's all I'm asking. Just help a friend of mine.
Yeah, well, I think you could approve this if that's what we're gonna do. I think you could approve it, but still make everybody happy in the process.
If you could make Mr. Petrakis happy, you'd make me happy.
You can
Thank
let
you.
him know, Bob, that I will call the county and have them address the...
He's listening tonight. I told him make sure he listens.
There you go.
Thank you.
Very good.
All righty. Anybody else would like to address council on agenda items only, please?
You can probably leave it there.
You can leave that there if you like.
We'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
I'm Adrienne Weiss, 1343 Tower Lawn Drive. Just a quick follow-up with the concerns about the what Mr. Mintz was saying in terms of Monroeville's discussions and the lawsuit and geokinetics and so forth. It seems that Monroeville has agreed to change some of the things that we fought for in the original ordinance, like the setback was going to be 100 feet, now it's going to be 50 or 55, which means everybody in Monroeville just about is vulnerable to seismic testing. Do I understand that correctly?
Well, let me just put it this way. I assure you, when we get into that part of the meeting, we can discuss that a little bit more, but we have to follow the law. There's no way to absolutely stop seismic testing whatsoever, none.
I understand, but it seems like it was sold out a little bit to the residents that it was going to be 100 feet from anybody's structure, and now it's going to be a lot closer, and maybe we couldn't stop it, but at least we could put a bigger cushion there. So that was one of my concerns, and you can talk about that later. The second
Well,
point...
wait, hold on. Mr. Ratchard mentioned that they originally had only wanted 35 feet.
Right,
So
yeah, but
there was-
the
there
original
was-
ordinance was 100.
Correct, and they wanted it to go to 35. So there was some.
I
Well,
see.
I think the point to
It's
be made here was
compromise,
the
though.
risk that we faced continuing the litigation was that we were going to get zero,
Yes.
that the ordinance wasn't going to apply to them. And so that was the issue.
Okay, well, I can only
Because
speak...
they came up before the ordinance was passed.
I understand. I can only speak for myself, but I feel like Monroeville sold out to geokinetics. And I realize the budget maybe couldn't fight these people because the Koch brothers are behind them or whatnot. So I kind of understand that.
Well, I don't know about any of that right here, but I honestly...
But I feel like
that
you're
was an
saving the
absolute-
budget and rather than the lives and property of residents. And
And
that's
that's
all
no
I
way,
want to say
shape,
about
or
that.
form true.
That's not true at all.
Not even a little
That's
bit.
my feeling.
Okay.
Okay, you're entitled
I
to your
get to
feeling.
speak my piece. All right, second thing I'd like to say is I'd like you to know about this renewable energy certificate that Monroeville can use solar, wind, and hydro for street lights, our buildings, your Christmas lights, all of that. There's a website on YouTube, and I've got slips for everybody. So
You can submit that in if you'd like.
okay, because that would be great if we could use renewables for municipal areas of our town. It's only a 2-minute and 30-second YouTube video that explains what a renewable certificate is. We'd love to have this have solar panels on the roof of this building and so forth. Okay, the last point I would like to make very quickly is I had a wood-burning fireplace, but we converted to gas. And we were having trouble, and we called in for, the repair. So the discussion with American Chimney and Fireplace is that there is a much higher degree of sulfur in the gas lines due to fracking and shale and all that with Marsalis. So the gas companies delivering gas to our fireplaces and our other, water heaters and furnaces and so forth with this higher level of sulfur, which is corrosive and wrecks parts, and we had to replace all these parts. He also said it discolors marble. Someone had a marble surround on their fireplace and mantles, and it discolors, and there's nothing you can do about it. The beautiful logs you buy, the pretend logs, they turn white, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's due to this higher sulfur content. And so fracking it's going to wreck a lot of things, not just health and water and air.
Do you believe everything you hear from the gas company?
What kind of a question is that?
Well, you said that the gas company said that it's a result of the fracking.
The American Chimney and Fireplace gentleman who owns this company told me why my fireplace went south.
But do you have solid proof of that, or are you just taking his word for it?
I'm taking his word because he's seen it again and again and again, and I would love if there was a study that I could find.
Well, you should look into that.
Well, I think everybody who has a gas fireplace or...
I have a gas fireplace, and I don't have any issues. I've had it for 30 years.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I'm gullible. I don't think I am.
Well, I didn't say that. I was just saying you should look into it.
Yeah.
Get proof, get solid proof.
Great. Okay, I will hand out these slips now.
You want to just bring
for
them over
YouTube.
here and we'll pass them down?
Sure.
Appreciate that.
I have 20.
Oh, well.
10.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is
10 would
open.
probably be
If you
good.
haven't signed in, please do so. State your name for the record.
My
On
name's
agenda item.
Thank you.
I don't know what I'm doing. Every 20 years I come here, as I said last time. So should I
Yeah,
wait?
Mayor, she's on the agenda.
This is the development.
Yeah,
Miss- with-
on A&R.
Yeah, AR building.
All right, you certainly can address it.
Well, I think these gentlemen have very good intentions for our area.
Ms. Secretary, did you say?
I'm sorry, Diane Etchegary. I'm sorry. I wrote it and I didn't say it. Okay. Mr. Wilson, I will say hello to you. Good night this evening. I forgot you last time. I'm sorry. Anyway, I think that of my own selfish reasons, I would rather see this field remain fallow for the rest of its life. But that's not realistic. So really, I think that what they're proposing is the best thing that we could have in our area. I think that's a good thing for this. With my concerns that remain of the traffic issues, I've done a lot of thinking about this, and there are children still that walk up through there. We had mentioned in another meeting about no right-hand turn lanes, that sort of thing. But with 85 units, and these people, if they're paying for a unit of these prices, they're probably going to be productive citizens who get up and go to work. Well, in the morning and in the evening, we already have these cut-through people anyway. So 85 people, I don't think, are going to make that much difference, even if they do make an illegal right turn if we put that sign up and everything. And also, I don't know if it's still in existence or not, but are they supposed to put a sidewalk up along the perimeter on Evergreen or?
Can I make a suggestion? This is to rezone the property.
Right.
Then there will be a site plan that will be submitted, and it will have details, if approved.
Okay.
And that would be a perfect time for your concerns to come up before us.
Okay, I was told that the traffic studies and all of that.
That
and I
would
should
have to-
address that beforehand.
That would be addressed.
All those issues will be addressed at the site plan.
Yes.
And yes, sidewalks will be required, Mrs. Etchinger.
So therefore, all of your concerns can be addressed whenever the appropriate time is We're just, if we're looking at a rezoning of a piece of property.
Right.
But you have a
Okay.
lot of information, of thoughts, but I'm just afraid it's going to get lost in the mix because it's going to be quite a while before we see a plan.
I'll be glad to keep coming back, I just am not
I think the
sure.
weather might be nicer when you come back.
You mean it's going to take that long? Well, okay, but I just didn't want to miss out on.
No, and
you know.
and you had addressed quite a few things, and I think that they were very helpful as far as giving you information back, so I thought it was a really good
Okay. I just want to make 2
relationship.
cents before the final nitty-gritty thing got in there.
Yeah, but right now I think it's just, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a
gonna be quite a
rezoning.
while.
Okay, now how will I find out about this? Just nag Mr. Wilson?
You certainly can do that. That's his job.
He doesn't mind.
All right, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
How's
you.
that? Probably threw you under the bus, bud.
No, we talked
I'm
today.
kidding. I'm
Yeah, I spoke to him today.
I had both of our daughters in softball when they were 9 or 10 years old, 11 years old.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll close that proportion of the meeting. Oh, sorry. Sorry, sir. If you didn't sign in, please do. State your name for the record.
My name is Robert Milner. I'm here to oppose the 17-2Z.
You speak into the microphone, please.
Is this the microphone here?
Yeah, just
Speak
talk a little
louder.
All right, I've never been to one of these.
That's
okay.
okay. Take your time.
I've grown up in Monroeville all my life, actually neighbors with the Sedlacks. In 1990, I built a house on Evergreen Drive, 3945 Evergreen. I designed it, I built it myself. And at that time, I knew what the zoning laws were, and I knew across the street that someday that's going to be developed. And I've been fortunate, of course, to have a nice privacy, and it's a very nice neighborhood, it has been since 1993. I'm a little upset today because if it wasn't for my neighbor hunting me down late Sunday afternoon, I would never know about this. Where were all the postings? Where's the fluorescent postings on the building, on the
There's no
the
building.
telephone poles? I haven't seen anything. I missed the last one in November. I didn't even know it was sold.
Let me just have Paul on this postings.
I've posted that property twice. I put up 4 of the orange posters on utility poles.
Where
right
did you
in front-
put 'em?
On the utility poles.
Sir, I come out every day. I'm outside. I haven't seen, I drove past today before work because I know I was going to come here. There's not one sign on the old building. There's not one sign all through Evergreen.
What
I
old
don't
building
know
is
what
he
There's no
talking
building
about?
there that we're talking about.
No, this is a vacant piece of property.
This isn't Bishop's property with the
This is
old-
on the other end of Evergreen
No, the other
Drive,
end of Evergreen, all the way down towards Old William Penn.
near the Vocolec building, the old
So this
Vocolec.
isn't right
Baby
down
Smith.
from
It's not
Parkway
bes-
Tavern?
No.
No.
I can see where your house
All
is.
right. Hey,
See how easy it
Thank
is?
you for
Made my day.
coming. Are you happy?
well, you all have a Merry Christmas.
Oh, you did.
Never mind.
Well, that was a first in 10
Well-
years. How's that?
Hey, we made someone really happy.
Let me fix that.
Your neighbor, Mr. Rector, called me yesterday about it.
Oh, you did?
We talked a little bit about it.
Alrighty, moving right along. Council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation reasons prior to tonight's council meeting beginning at 6:45 until about 10 to 7 p.m. Whatever. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at tonight's December 12th, 2017 council meeting. Council, if you look at for the approval of the minutes of the budget hearing of November 2nd, 2017, the budget hearing of November 9th, 2017, Citizens Night meeting of November 9th, 2017, council work session of November 9th, 2017, continued budget hearing of November 9th, 2017, held on November 14th, 2017, and the regular council meeting of November 14th, 2017. Are there any additions or corrections? Please. Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
And moving over to approve of our reports of our tax collections. Once again, council, any additions or corrections?
No, sir.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Moving over to the payroll report, once again, council, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
And our list of bills and budget transfers, Tom, we'll start off with you. Anything for this evening?
No, sir.
Steve?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Paul?
No, sir.
Jim?
Nothing, sir.
Ron?
Nothing, except I just wanted to tell everybody that if you remember when I brought up about the baseball fields being lit in November, there was contractors up there working, et cetera. I got an answer for it, and it was a satisfactory answer, so I'm good.
Nick?
No questions, Mayor.
Linda?
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
And now we'll go to our vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities, and I'll do it in order as I have been the last several meetings. Linda, we'll start off with you.
Yes, I have one. It's going to be, hold on, I'm sorry. It is going to be for, where is it? Oh, for the Monroeville Finance Authority, for Dominic Zappa.
Is there a second?
This is going to be a nomination.
Dominic?
Yeah.
Is that what you said, Dominic?
Yes, I got a call from
So
the head of the
I was
board
asked,
that
yeah.
asked, yeah, to make sure I did that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other, Linda?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Nick?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to appoint, but would that be, if this will be in January's meeting? We have to wait to appoint for
To
January.
January.
If they don't,
Yeah, we
You
can
do.
only
So I already have a nomination on the table.
No, can't he appoint?
Not if there's not a vacancy yet.
Oh, there's not a vacancy?
Not
If
till
they were
January.
nominated, they can't appoint?
No.
Not
No.
till there's a vacancy.
Oh, okay.
So actually then, Mayor, I'll wait till January, or we will get this person reappointed in January.
Okay, point of clarification now. Steve, didn't you make an appointment to the water board?
But there
with
was a
no-
vacancy.
Oh, there is a vacancy?
This is a reappointment.
There was.
I have a reappointment too that was nominated, but I was told I can't.
Correct, yeah. There has to be a vacancy.
so this all has to be done,
So in other words, I guess it has to be vacant, termed out.
Yes.
Yes.
We can't throw you out as mayor until you're done.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
right, Steve.
Is there a motion on that?
I like you.
So yes, I guess we're
That's
just,
terrible. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, we're just nominating this evening, and I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Ron?
yes, I think I have one here. First of all, I'm looking at the asterisks by the names, so those are the ones that have not been nominated yet. So I'd like to nominate Anthony Bacuso for the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Jimmy?
Yeah, I have one for the zoning hearing board, excuse me. I'd like to nominate Richard Tieran for a reappointment. to the
Second.
Planning Board.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Caleri?
Tom Peg, the Municipal Authority.
Is there a second?
Is that a
Second.
nomination? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Steve, any others? Oh, I'm sorry. Steve?
I have.
Nothing.
All righty, and now moving over to our old business. Tim, if you would, please.
Okay, the consent agenda, old business. This is 148 ST Amaya Mia. Is that the way you pronounce that?
Amamia.
Amamia Organization of Pittsburgh. Applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct 8,419 square feet church and associated site amenities. The property is located at 351 Old Haymaker Road in the M1 Planned Industrial and R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District. Applicant is requesting reapproval of the site plan.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Council?
What are you talking about? I got lost.
Seeing none?
I just,
Go ahead.
just to confirm here, just a couple of things, and I think you already answered me once, but the house that's there is not part of your
No,
plan, okay? So the house remains, correct?
yes. And so what we did, and actually, this litigation was because we divided the parcel into two. This was about the house and that was
I see.
for, so, and this was to be recorded and didn't get recorded and this.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. I wonder, the trench that they are speaking of, can we verify whose property that's on, make sure it's being maintained, taken out, whatever's supposed to happen to make sure this works correctly?
I think the diversion ditch is on both properties, but when they build their facility, they'll inherit the water just because they're downstream.
Okay,
And that was evaluated as part of the plan, too.
okay, so that has been evaluated, that
Yes.
homemade trench?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, council, on this item before you? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesar?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Congratulations, and looking forward to seeing you back.
Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate every person.
Mr. Ross, at this time, make sure you get all your permits.
Yes,
Sure, I
please.
will.
Okay, moving over to new business. Tim, if you would, please.
Okay, item 1, 17-2-Z, AR Builder Company Incorporated. Applicant is requesting rezoning of 2 properties from L Special Use and C2 Business Commercial to R5 Multifamily Residential. The properties are located between Evergreen Drive and the Parkway, known as Allegheny County Lot and Block Number 742, P236 and 742-P-216, and together comprise a total area of approximately 5 acres. We had a public hearing on this on last Thursday at the work session. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesar?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
Okay,
We'll see you when
good
you
luck
come
with your
back.
rezoning, gentlemen. Okay,
Thank you.
number 2.
It was hard, wasn't it?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
17-12 ST Walnut Ivanhoe Partners, Ivanhoe Apartments. Applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct 4,041 square foot building for the purpose of leasing office and multi-use space and associated site amenities. The property is located at 4175 Ivanhoe Drive in the R5 multifamily residential zoning district. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments, council?
Mr. Egas, all the conditions have been met from the planning commission, correct?
Yes, there's a few housekeeping items that we will take care of within the 90 days of their requirements.
Other than that, we're good to go with
We're
the
good.
whole stormwater management and all
Yeah,
of that
we're
for the
still
property?
working through it with Mr. Schmidt.
Any other questions, council?
Nope.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesar?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
Okay, item 3, 17-13 ST Key Development Partners, LP, Tykes Corner. Applicant is requesting a site plan approval to construct a 10,000 square foot building divided into 3 leasable retail spaces and associated site amenities. The property is located at 4020 William Penn Highway in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District. The Planning Commission has approved with conditions.
Council, is
Motion.
there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments, council?
Mayor, couple.
Sure, please.
Is the representative here? Do you have the drawing?
I do.
I just have, this is probably more for the residents' benefit. If I remember you correctly, when you were describing this to us, the curb cut on Route 22 nearest Stroshan, is that going to be closed or open?
On Route 22, that's going to remain open.
That's going to remain open.
The curb cut on Stroshine closest to 22.
22 is going to be closed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so, and then the one closest to the newsstand is going to remain open?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could
That's
state your
really all
name,
I had.
sir.
Sure. My name's David Brooks. I'm from Faring McCarty Gray.
Please sign in, sir, if you have not. Any other questions for this gentleman, sir?
Yeah, just
And
just to piggyback on what Mr. Harvey was saying, so they're going to have a way in on 22, and then that one exit. There's going to be two curb cuts on 22, if you just point them out. One is angled inward,
Right here.
yes, and then to leave the property,
There's a right out on this side.
and that'll be angled as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the one on Stroshine is being closed and the other one is remaining open?
This was the location of the entrance closest to 22, and this one will remain open.
Okay.
For full access.
Very good.
Any other questions or comments, council?
One more thing, Mayor, just to point out to council, one of the things we did talk about on Thursday was that, as one of the conditions, is that the applicant agrees to comply with the DEP protections, the DEP requirements for the site, and they will submit the environmental reports to the municipality. So that is on this list now, so, as we discussed.
Any other comments, council?
That should take care of it.
We did the motion. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns? Aye. Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Grieslock?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Congrats. Good luck
you.
with your project.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
Okay, moving over to motions.
Okay, first motion is a motion to open an asset seizure fund for the Department of Treasury funds.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Just for the audience here as well as on TV, all these items, and I did forget to say that earlier, were discussed at length at the work session. So, once again, council, any other comments on this item before you? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Grieslock?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Okay, item 2 is a motion to ratify the November 22nd, 2017 seismic testing settlement agreement between Geokinetics USA Incorporated and the Municipality of Monroeville.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Comments, Mayor?
Please.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate our solicitor, Mr. Ratcher, for doing his job to protect the municipality from any additional lawsuits by doing his research on this project. And I believe that he took some unfair shots at the last meeting. And even tonight, someone took a shot at him saying that basically we sold them out. And this is something that really bothered me. And I hope that as we get down the road, just because we're not able to meet their demands based on laws that we have to follow, I hope they understand that this is our solicitor and that is his job to protect us from these additional lawsuits. And thank you again, Mr. Ratcher.
Any other questions or comments, council?
I'll make one more comment. I know that Mr. Ratcher was kind of attacked after the last meeting, and it was said, yeah, not in your neighborhood. Well, this is Mr. Ratcher's neighborhood as well, and it's all of ours, and we're doing the very best that we can to do what we can for everyone here. And it's not an easy job, and it's very, it hurts me to hear from the audience it's always about the money. And it's not. This stuff weighs very heavily on us, and we do the very best that we can for everyone concerned, so.
But the real bottom line is, and I think all of you on council will agree, we have to follow the law.
Well, and I think that people don't realize that. This isn't all in our hands, that we can just do whatever we feel like we want to do. So, thank you, Mr. Ratcher.
And I'd also agree with Mr. Wilson's comments.
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, this, seismic testing through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it's a permitted use. We can't ban it, we can't have a moratorium on it in our community. We can certainly regulate it, which we have with our ordinance, and our ordinance is a strong ordinance. Some may think that it's too restrictive of an ordinance, and, I reluctantly will be supporting this motion, but recognize that without this agreement, the downside risk is too great for the municipality. And without following this agreement, the downside is much, much greater than what we receive in this agreement. The ordinance that we have written, it once again is a restrictive one, and the overwhelming majority of that ordinance is being followed with this agreement.
Just one short comment, just a brief. Keep in mind that Solicitor Ratcher, they had a pretrial conference with a judge that gave every indication that we were going to lose this whole thing because that company filed before we had an ordinance. I think he negotiated a very good and fair resolve to this. I think it still looks out for the residents of Monroeville. As he said before, some of those other ordinances haven't been challenged yet. And with me, it wasn't the money to fight it in court. It was, that was a useless cause. The judge had already given his feelings on it and sent them back to work it out. I think they worked it out as well as we could have hoped, considering that company was held up and did apply before the ordinance ever hit the books. So my compliments to Mr. Radcharles.
Any other comments, council, before I ask for a roll call? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns? Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Tim, if we move over to resolutions, if you would, sir, please.
Okay, we have 3 resolutions. Number 1, a resolution adopting the Center Road Plaza Sewage Planning Module.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second? Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns? Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
Okay, number 2 is a resolution opposing House Bill 1620 entitled the Wireless Infrastructure Development Bill. This was requested by Councilman Harvey to oppose this, and this will be sent to the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs and the Local Government Commission.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Any other comments or questions?
The only comment was, in case anybody didn't hear what this was about, in brief, if this House bill passes, it's going to take our zoning rights away from the right-of-ways, which is the only thing we have to control these type of structures in our neighborhoods.
Mr. Mayor, are we as a board going to send a letter to
Yes.
the House of Representatives stating our displeasure with this development bill?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other one we talked about on, that other one I thought you were talking about had to do with the PUC taking over the
Water authority.
Water, which I had also reached out to
Yeah.
Mr. Little to make sure he reached out to Mr. Hunter, to get them on board with us, so we all send in for that.
We're talking
water.
about the wireless.
I'm talking
But now
about
we're
the
talking about the
right now.
wireless.
Okay.
We can do that, Tom. We can construct.
And we can all sign it and send it to our representative?
Yes.
If you would, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, next
Good.
one. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, folks? Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns? Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Tim, I know this is something that we don't have to do, and you might maybe get into that, but read it into the record and we'll still vote on it.
It's just for the banner. PennDOT requests that a resolution be passed by a municipality for liability reasons when you have a banner going across one of their roads, in this case Route 22. But my understanding is the banner is not across the bridge, which is by the mall. It's down by where a lot of banners are at the corner of 22 and 48. which we already have a resolution for. But we'll do the resolution anyway. A resolution authorizing the display of an event banner for the 2017 WPIAL 5A football champions, the Gateway Gators, on the bridge near the Monroeville Mall over Route 22 in William Penn Highway within the right-of-way of property belonging to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. In case they move it, we're covered.
Yeah, motion on the floor.
Okay, motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Comment. When they're finished with these banners hanging in the different locations, and we turn around and give those to the school so they can keep those in their,
Yeah, that was, just so you know.
They post them and take them down.
Yeah, that's theirs.
yeah.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, that was donated by one of the local businesses,
that nice?
made for the sign.
Yeah.
The reason why it's not done by the mall, apparently the way they made the sign, it wasn't made to be hung across that little ridgeway, walkway, whatever you want to call it.
Didn't have the vents in it.
Yeah, exactly, thank you.
Oh,
Tim.
okay.
Yeah, so, that's the only reason why that didn't get hung there.
Okay, that's okay, but if we can just, when they're finished, give them to the school.
We can do that.
Do we know which business donated those signs?
I was never told. I would have loved to thank them, but
Right.
I'm sure the school
thank you
board
very
did
much.
that.
Okay.
So,
Whomever.
apologize for not knowing. They never told me, so.
Probably the only thing you don't
Oh,
know.
the school board probably.
Well, I'm sure, I agree, the school board probably thank you. No other comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Caleri.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Tim. Bob, you hit the
We
ordinances
have
if you
5
would.
ordinances tonight. An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville fixing the real estate millage for land, buildings, and structures for 2018.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second? Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Caleri.
Aye.
Mr. Johns. Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Second, we have an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville to provide for the adoption of a budget containing estimates of proposed revenues and expenditures for the calendar year beginning January 1, 2018.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Please.
Comment. I'd like to thank Mr. Little and Josie for their hard work and all the rest of their staff for the hard work in putting this together, and all of our department managers. Thank you.
Any other comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Caleri.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Next, we have an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville continuing the deed transfer, mercantile tax, business privilege tax, and local services tax pursuant to the Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965 as amended.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Caleri.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Bob, if you would.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville adjusting the salary system structure of 2018.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Caleri.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Wilson.
Bob?
Finally, we have an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville establishing the 2018 fee schedule.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Caleri.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Thank you, Bob. We'll move over to reports of our municipal staff. And Bob, any words of wisdom?
None. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, that was quick.
Don't have it.
Not tonight.
All righty, Tim, if you would.
Yeah, just one item, just a reminder to residents that refuse and recycling collection will be a day late during the Christmas and New Year holiday,
All righty, thank you.
the day after each.
Paul?
No comments, Mayor.
And Josie?
Nothing tonight.
All right, we're going to open up for public comments on any municipal item. Well, hello, Rabbi. How are you?
Oh, I'm well, thank you.
I know you signed in, so just...
I
state your
did. I
name.
signed in. Rabbi Barbara Simons. I am a resident of Monroeville, proudly.
And want to thank you for your service, all of you, but thank you, Mayor.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much. Tonight is the first night, and where else would I be than here with our
Thank you for that.
Yes. So Reverend Shannock is here with me as well from Monroeville United Methodist Church. I note about Hanukkah, and actually it just happened to be that this was the night, this was a council meeting when the ministerium wanted to make a presentation to you. But while a lot of people think the miracle of Hanukkah is that this candle burned rather than for one day, the oil stayed for 8 days, really there are other miracles. And really the miracle, I think, was that the Maccabees fought for religious freedom. And so just on a personal note, it's not on the ministerium's behalf, that I think is really powerful for me right now, that this is the night that we happen to have been presenting this. We had, months ago, shared a statement against hate. And I just want to remind you of the statement because I'd like to present it to you more formally. We, the elected officials of Monroeville and the leaders of the Monroeville Interfaith Ministerium, join our voices together in denouncing acts of racism around our nation. One of the greatest elements of Monroeville is a diversity of ethnicity, culture, faith, and race within our community. We celebrate our diversity and declare that there is no room for hatred and bigotry in our community. White supremacy, bigotry, and hate are wrong. They are intolerable and do not represent who we are as a country or as a Monroeville community. We stand united against racism. This is a statement that you had asked us to be able to share, and we appreciate that opportunity. We now have the signatures of hundreds, maybe thousands of people on this statement that have gone from house of worship to house of worship. I'm going to just do a quick swing around here.
You know what, put it in the center so that they can, that way the people at home can also see.
So you can see. And as we present it to you, we would like to invite you to consider hanging it publicly within this building so other residents can see. I was going to say that we could have pens there for others to sign on, but frankly, I don't think there's even room for that. But we would like to be able to present it. So as long as everyone got to see it.
Rabbi. That won't be an issue.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll display that, Rabbi, in the hallway out here. It'll be very visible.
Thank you.
Rabbi, is tomorrow evening the lighting of the menorah at the Miracle Mount?
Yes, tomorrow evening, yes. So
6:30.
tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, and tomorrow is when they're doing that.
6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30?
The mayor knows.
6:30.
At the Panera's, right, Barbara?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where within.
It's by Panera's.
Within Miracle Mount,
Yes, it is. Anybody else would like to address council on any municipal item? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting. And we're going to go right down, and Tom, you are first with your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, congratulations, Gateway. Football team, great job. Merry Christmas to everyone, and happy, healthy New Year. Thank you, Mayor.
Steve?
Yeah, how about this, Mr. Caleri, my colleague, his last meeting.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, 4
Thanks.
years.
Yeah.
Wish there was another 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to keep me out.
We're going to miss you. Yeah, now I'm going to have the mayor sitting here, oh boy.
Better you than me.
It's been a pleasure working with you. And lastly, just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. That's all I have.
Well, it's been a good 4 years. Learned a lot. Learned to have thick skin. Learned not to take things too personal. But I think the biggest thing that I learned is that Monroeville really is a wonderful place. You have a lot of passion up here on council. Everybody here works hard. It was a good team to work with. I'm going to miss it, believe it or not. I really am, but I am going to enjoy the extra time with my kids and my wife. And with that, I just wish everybody good luck. I know you're in good hands, and you'll always be in good hands, and it was a very nice and humbling experience to be able to serve everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, you're next, sir.
Yeah, it's easy. Just a good luck to Mr. Caleri, and everybody have a nice holiday.
All righty. Ron?
Just 3 quick things. The first one is I guess, thanks to Greg, I don't know if any person will ever serve as mayor as long as you did because of the way it happened. But
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Mr. Greascott has some big shoes to fill, which I'm sure he will do fine.
Yes, sir.
You're moving down to another chair, and that'll be a different experience. Paul, it has been a great experience working with you. Thank you for everything you've ever helped me with and helped council with, and good luck to you for whatever you do. And happy holidays to everybody and the residents. This will be the last time I guess we get to see them before the holidays, so happy holidays to everybody.
Yes, Mayor. As we were just talking about the sign, I found out that a Mr. Charles Chase is who donated the sign. A resident donated a sign for Gateway.
Thank you for finding it out. I was never told that.
It was hand-delivered to me. But a big thanks to Mr. Chase, and once again, it was a great thing for the community to get that going. And while we're talking about it, congratulations to the football team and everyone involved. We keep talking about this. One thing that Dr. Short said, I don't know if anybody picked it up, out of those students, the football team, 33 of them were on the honor roll this year. And that doesn't get talked about too often. I mean, usually we talk about, who scores and how many yards they get, but these student athletes, they did a super job, really brought together the community, and really we thank them for the great season that they had. Last night, we had the Monroeville Recreation and Parks Advisory Board had the 30th annual Holiday Light Contest, and we have our winners here. And Mr. Habala, if you have some images there, we have from Ward 1, we have the Lyon family on Grandwood Court.
That's not my house.
Now, keep in mind, the photos don't always do these things justice, but a lot of houses to pick from. In the second ward, the Shearer family. That's not his second ward. I mean, it's going to be nice, of course. I mean,
Oh, take it easy.
I'm still Ward 1. I'm still Ward 1.
second ward. I got to support.
He's not mayor yet.
I got to represent the second ward, but great job. We have Ms. Lebron on Woodhaven Drive.
Third ward.
That's the third ward, Mr. Habala.
Nice.
And one thing you don't see in this picture certainly is all the movement. There was a lot of flashing. I mean, it was like Las Vegas there, and they did a super job. In the fourth ward was the McCoick family. Moving over to, actually we're going to skip the fifth ward. I won't spoil it, but we're going to go to the sixth ward now of Richard and Susan Bruce. I'm sorry, I apologize, I got it wrong. There we go, Joe. Okay, that's the fifth ward. Mr. Cowell, 75.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
75 years young yesterday as we were judging
nice job.
These lights, and he was up on the roof and got it looking really nice. And then I'm going to skip over the sixth ward, sorry, and then the seventh ward is the Powell family.
Ooh,
That's on Cottonwood Drive.
nice.
And then we have our sixth ward grand prize winner of the Bruce family. On Oliver Drive. The photograph didn't get it all in there. I mean, there is a lot there.
Wow.
But congratulations
Their
to
electric
all the
bill ought
ward
to be
winners
nice.
and to the Bruce family. It was a nice event for the Recreation Department. We drive around in the senior center bus and judge the individual wards. And great job for everybody that was participating. It seemed like, at least in the second ward, it seemed like there was more lights this year. I don't know if it was the good stretch of weather we had. But the light decorating becomes contagious, and I think once the neighbors start doing it, people start competing. So we had some
Griswolds.
areas of that. Yeah. So great job for everyone involved. Mr. Caleri, thank you so much for serving community, and it was really a pleasure working with you up here. And best wishes and good luck to you. Mayor Aracinko, thank you for your service the past 10 years. I look forward to taking over the reins there, and
So am I.
I will do my best to do a good job like you have in representing our community for the past 10 years, and looking forward to working with you and the rest of council in this new capacity. And once again, I can't thank the voters enough for the confidence and the faith that they have in me to do so. And lastly, a happy Hanukkah to those who are currently celebrating. a very Merry Christmas to those who will be celebrating, and a Happy New Year to all.
Thank you, Nick. Linda?
It's hard to even say how much I will miss you, Paul. It's been a great pleasure meeting you, working with you, serving with you. I understand for family reasons why you're doing what you're doing, but I really personally will miss you. There's going to be just some seat changes, different relationships going on. Looking forward to the relationship we're going to have with our deputy mayor, who will now be our mayor. Dr. Graysock, I'll miss him being next to me. I'm sure he's glad I quit smoking, so I don't smell like a cigarette anymore, but, would have been probably the reason he ran, so he could move to a different seat, but, that's been taken care of. So I look forward to whoever's going to be sitting in this seat as well. And we will not be losing our current mayor. He will be in the 5th seat, and he will be part of the team still. And I think we're a great team, and other than losing Mr. Cleary, it's not a whole lot's going to change, and I think we're going to still continue to move forward for the municipality. I also want to say Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas to everyone, safe and Happy New Year. And lastly, Joe, would you happen to have that picture you could put up for me? Okay, in the season of giving, there's something that was going on. I didn't want to talk about it during election time because I think it's too important. There's a family that lost a child in my ward, and the neighbors actually have raised half the cost, and we as a municipality are paying for the balance to have a bench put in Calvington Park, and it will read as follows: those we have held in our arms for a little while, we hold in our hearts forever. And it's for a Toby Stern, who you can see only lived for a very short amount of time. And I would like to thank the people for having such a heart for their neighbors. And I think it's a good time of the year for everyone to think about that. And with that, I think I'll just stop.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm sorry. It was really about Paul leaving as much, too.
She's crying that she's happy, Paul.
Yeah, no, I'm scared because you're moving over.
I'll be real.
Oh, I was just too emotional. I couldn't
I get it.
say
Okay.
goodbye.
I'll be real brief. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas to everybody, and as well as please have a very safe New Year's. Paul, obviously, not only a colleague up here, you've become a very dear friend, and thank you for what you've done for our 5th Ward, and I'll have some shoes to fill over there as well, and but thank you for what you've done. Nick, I already said it a little earlier, but no offense, everybody, all the complaints go to Nick. I'm done. I'll only take it from the 5th Ward.
You still have another month with the mayor, though. So
Yeah.
get them in early before the 2nd.
No, all kidding aside, Nick, I know you're going to do a great job, and once again to the residents, thank you for the honor that you've given me to serve you as your mayor, and again to the 5th Ward residents, looking forward to that. I'll actually have a vote. You realize in 10 years, I only had 1 vote and 1 veto.
Thank goodness.
So, looking forward to it. And with that, is there a motion? to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute, Tim, you wanted to say, I almost forgot.
I just wanted to thank
I
Paul.
apologize.
No, I just wanted to, I am really going to miss your humor. Okay, that's, as everybody probably knows, here in the municipality, we had a incident with our building up here, the wine and spirit store, and the 5 guys, it was sinking a little bit, and I texted council yesterday, I was off yesterday, and I was telling them about it, and I found out on Saturday night Paul was a Scotch drinker, I didn't know that, so Paul texted me back and he says, save the Scotch.
And your response was, only the good.
Only the good. And Mayor, I would like to, it's been a pleasure for 7 years working with you, and one comment I'll always remember when Greg comes into my office and we have an issue, and trust me, Greg and I do not agree on a lot of things, okay? But one thing I'll always say, Tim, we're going to arm wrestle over this one. and that we do, and we walk away and we're friends, and we agree to disagree on a lot of things, but we do agree on a lot of things too, and it's been a pleasure working with both of you.
Well, just one real quick comment, and then I'll go for the adjournment. The real bottom line is that I agree with everything Tim said, but the nice thing is we always work it out, and we'll do that for the next 4 years, and looking forward to that. We already had a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.